Welcome back to the episode of The Donkey and the Bee with your host, Brett and Laura Shakavis, where we got the jackass over here and the biatch, where we talk about all things life and how we do it together.
Well, I want to stress the importance of keeping your personal expenses low while you're growing your business so that honestly your business can get huge. There's been times in our lives we've been in different masterminds and things, and we'll be with other successful people in their business journey, and they're talking about, the house that they have, right? And they have like a $15,000 a month mortgage payment on their big, beautiful house. We've been in that kind of circumstance where we've looked at, hey, you know what, should we buy this piece of land over here? We want to build our own dream home. And we've looked at some of the numbers. And right, and it's, again, like you're going to build some multi-million-dollar property and it's going to be $15,000, $20,000 a month in PITI, right? Your monthly payment. And we just couldn't swallow that, right? So we live in a very normal house and we keep our personal expenses very low in order to be able to grow our business.
I think this is hard for a lot of people, especially when they taste success. They tend to say that they deserve it or that they've worked hard to get to this point, and they want to give themselves a little gift as like a incentive to like keep pushing and keep striving toward that goal. And I think where we went different is we tasted that success. And yes, we did celebrate, but it was small celebrations. We would, maybe take a couple day trip somewhere or do something like that. It wasn't a big purchase, like a big home or a big car or a big boat or whatever it may be, right? All those liabilities that we could potentially buy to say that, we deserve it, or this is our consolation prize for being successful. Instead, we took that money and we invested it. And I think that's really where it comes down to here is we as a couple decided that, hey, we want to reach this specific goal. If we spend this money now on this fancy home or car, then we won't get to our goal as quickly as we want to. And so I think it was coming down to being on the same page together, knowing that this goal is close and we wanted to reach it quicker than spending all this money in a way that was not responsible. So we were on the same page together. And I think that's important. That's probably the number one thing is you need to get on the same page together and have that same goal in mind.
So our personal expenses are very, very, very low. Like our mortgage payment, it's less than $3,000. Our company bought our vehicles and we pay those off right away. Honestly, like we have the mortgage payment, utilities, insurance, like that's about it, right? Like we've been through several cycles of starting businesses, being through the crap with COVID, and really having a time where we didn't have to pay ourselves, right? We started our first business. We barely made any money those first couple of years. And we were able to keep our personal expenses really low and continue to reinvest in that business. The latest business that we opened 3 years ago, we didn't take a salary. We didn't take any distributions, any money from it the first 2 years, right? Like everything is just going back into the business. And we're able to do that because we don't have a $20,000 mortgage payment or a Bentley or a boat or all of that other crap. That's a liability. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but there's a certain stage in life and business to get to that place. And I see a lot of people hit that beginning success and then go and buy the liabilities. And I personally think that there's a lot of challenges in life, in business, a lot of ups and downs. And we've seen it drastically in the last few years where you have to be able to weather the storm. And I personally think that we should and will continue to keep our personal expenses relatively really low so that we can go through the hard things in life and we can invest in our business and grow our business, because that's ultimately where the big money is, on the backside of growing our business, investing ourselves, investing in more real estate.
I think our biggest personal expense, okay, on the count of three, let's say at the same, we haven't talked about this beforehand. On the count of three, let's say what our biggest expense is and see if it's the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Food.
Restaurants.
Yes. We do probably spend a little more money than we should on restaurants and food. We like food. And so that's just something that I think we like spending money on, and we do it together. And so it's more of an experience as well. But we worked our way up to that. In the beginning, we did not do that. We grocery shopped every week. We cooked every meal at home. And that's what we could afford at the time. And we knew that and we agreed upon that. And it was just kind of a known thing. It wasn't something that was like, oh, like it was a big headache or anything. I love that though. I'm like, I hope he says the same answer.
Right?
Then the people will not believe us.
Oh, well, I track that every single month. I know exactly what we spend on it.
Yes.
And it's, when we first got married, our food and restaurant budget now is more than our entire income when we first got married.
Yeah, it is.
But nonetheless, those are not fixed things, right? Like if things went to crap, we could cut that, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about the difference between when you see success and you commit to a 30-year mortgage and now you have a $15,000 a month mortgage, right? And like most of that's going to interest and taxes and insurance. It's not really paying this stuff down, or you get that big fancy car or boat. When we first used to open our business, we bought a travel trailer, and it was a 26-foot travel trailer, and it was 25 grand.
Yeah, about.
And we had it on payments, and it was literally because we still wanted a vacation and reward ourselves. We wanted to do it as inexpensive as possible, right? So we bought this trailer. It was like $350 a month on payments. And we took our girls out when they were little, and we vacationed every single month just locally camping for 3 days and stuff. But we hustled to pay that thing off as soon as we could. I don't think it was very long. Same with our vehicles. Right now, our business buys our vehicles, but we pay those things off right away. And so I personally don't like having any debt really to the business or to ourselves personally that is reoccurring every single month. I want to knock that crap out. And when you have big wins and cycles and in the business and you get a bunch of income in, I'm paying down all of that stuff. And I'm really preparing for the worst times. I'm preparing for the growth times, which a lot of times the biggest amount of money that goes out is hiring and systems and new people and expanding and marketing, all of those kind of dollars. And you have to have that kind of stuff and really going through the school of hard knocks of marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? Spending lots and lots of money and then having nothing come in or not being able to close a deal, or you're finding out your salesperson's not as good as you thought, or maybe you're the salesperson and you're not as good as you thought. And it's like, man, I just put out tons of cash and nothing came back in. So you got to really be prepared for this kind of stuff.
So when do you think it is an appropriate time to spend $1 to $2 million on a personal home?
Well, I think when you are not in that young building stage, right? If your business has a ton of opportunity that you could invest that dollars into to see exponential returns, then you should not do it at that time. If you're past that and you're spinning off so much money in your business now, and you're bringing in, say, you want to buy a $2 million house, do you have $2 million in profit this year and you could just go buy it cash? I think that's a great time to go ahead and do it, unless you need that $2 million to take your company another 5x or another 10x, right? There's some times in business where like you're just on a rocket ship ride and you need all that capital to grow. And then there's times when you're stabilizing. And if you've stabilized and you're consistent and you have, a couple $1 million a year in profit, then for sure, right? Go and do it. And you may say, hey, what if I make $500,000 a year in profit? That's probably good enough. Maybe it is for you. That's a personal decision, right? For me, I'm not that way. I want to be able to keep my expenses super low, and I'm very conservative, right? And I know that the business and life is hard, but I also have really big dreams. So therefore, I want to keep a lot of this capital ready to deploy for the right opportunity.
Yeah, I would say, and granted, this is 2024. For us, spending over $2 million on a house for us to personally live in, I feel like is just such a dumb financial decision. Personally, that's how I feel. I mean, the house we live in is just fine. We don't need anything bigger. It fits our family. It doesn't need to be any flashier. I feel like taking that $2 million and putting it into something that's actually an investment that's going to make you money back in return, it sounds so much more intriguing to me personally than having a flashy house that you have a huge mortgage on. Again, this may be a completely different mindset than most people, but then again, most people aren't in our financial situation that we're currently in. So,
yeah, and I assume this will change in a few years.
Exactly. That's
right?
why I said 2024.
A couple years ago, we had a different perspective on it now.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, we would have never bought a vehicle that we have now.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a waste of money. But our business bought it, and it's a tax write-off.
Exactly.
You fast forward, are we going to buy a jet in a few years?
Yeah.
Probably, right? I hope so, because my business is going to buy it and we need
Exactly.
the expenses and depreciation on that kind of stuff. Will it make us more money? I think it will, right? We're not going to buy it as a liability. If I can find a way that it will make us more money, then hell yeah, let's do it, right? And I never had that thought on it a few years ago. So kind of the same thing. I bet you our mindset on this, buying a couple $1 million house will change.
I think it's also educating yourself on taxes and how that can actually help you pay less taxes. And we're all going to completely be lying to ourselves if we all say that we don't want to pay less taxes. Like, everybody wants to pay less taxes. I think the less it goes to government, the better. And so I think it's us educating ourselves on, okay, we're making this amount of money with this business. What can we purchase in order to depreciate? And so I think that's where we are educating ourselves more throughout this process as we make more money, and realize that when you make more money, you usually have to pay more taxes. And what can you do to negate that?